Yes, that's right, it's Joe here for Joyrider TV. Time for some deep analysis. Yes, this is What Went Wrong, where we are looking at your video clips where you were lucky enough to have a camera rolling at the time when you had some sort of moment with your boat. We're going to be taking a detailed look at what it was that led to the incident, how it could have been avoided, and what we could all learn from it. Okay, so we are kicking this off on the Rockport Reservoir, Utah, USA, and we're on board with Zach, the original caveman, who is absolutely gunning it on his 16 solo. Looks like some great conditions, flat water, good wind, and just notching it up to 23 miles per hour there. I believe that is 19.99 knots. And there it is, the bow goes in and he is over. Let's slow that down and see if we can see what happened. So having hit that peak speed of 23, yeah, we're just sailing. There's a bit of a lull here, so we see Zach turns upwind slightly without sheeting in, and at that point we can just see his front foot position, which is indicating to us that he's not locked right in at the back, and that could have been his undoing there. So rather than heading up quite so much for the lull, to sheet in more would have been a good thing to do, and to have been further back on the boat. But if you sheet in more, you've got to be ready to sheet out. No stranger to these events, we're back on board with Andreas on his Topcat K4X on Forgensee, Bavaria, Germany, coming in off the trapeze. Going to take a look at a spinnaker block which must have a small problem. Oh yes, that is inevitable from that point. The rope caught on the shoe. Ah, yeah, that is quite frustrating. Finally getting the rope off the shoe so that Andreas can then abseil down onto the hull. That's the benefit of a slightly narrower boat, of course. Not so far to go. Okay, so it seems that when Andreas was initially looking at that block, the boat was nicely just heading up into the wind, and then just there we can see the hull starting to lift. So Andreas is like, right, better steer the boat, but then he grabs the stick and just a slight bear away there adds to the power, and just not sheeting out enough quickly enough. And then possibly it could have been saved if the rope hadn't caught on his shoe. Because I think at that point it did look like the main sheet was uncleated, and if it had just run out unrestricted, maybe the capsize could have been avoided. Okay, so we're now going back in time to April this year, Lake Buchanan, Texas, to the Hill Country multi-hull regatta, where here we have Greg and Laura, as we can see, upside down. But what put them in that position? The white sails of Greg and Laura is a Hobie 20, and the black sails of Levi and Jen is a Nacra 5.5. Having just rounded the last buoy, just sailing to the finish line in this hot battle for second place overall. And then very gusty conditions putting Laura... Whoa! What on earth is going on there? All right, we are going to have to take a look at that to see what caused both boats to capsize at that time. We can see from the start it's a very shifty, gusty day that they've got there on Lake Buchanan due to the differences in colour and texture on the water. So they get a big gust, which is also accompanied by a wind shift, which would be a lift. So the guys are heading up, both to control the power of the gust and to take advantage of that wind shift. And then almost immediately afterwards, the wind shifts back slightly more to the right from where it was initially, we can see that gust going through there as well on the water. And as we can see, that wind shift is enough to get the jib to back, which when double trapezed, if that happens 99 times out of 100, you're going over. And that happens to both boats almost simultaneously, creating this amazing catamaran capsize ballet out on the water. But there was very little that could have been done there. If it was possible to see the gust approaching from a slightly different direction to have bore away really hard into it, but that would have required lightning fast reflexes and perhaps the ability to see into the future. What can we take away from this? When the wind is gusty and shifty, if you keep your eyes outside the boat at all times, looking for the differences in texture on the water, and if you see a big black patch coming towards you from an unusual direction, the direction that it's approaching you from would usually be the new wind direction that you are about to encounter. Now here we are on Fenwick Island, Delaware, USA, on board a Prindle 16 with Matt and Brent. Really, really nice sailing conditions, I think we'll find. Oh yes, classic. So you can really see how much Brent is having to brace against the shroud there, and he's pretty much sitting on his back leg because he's already feeling so much pull to the front. So there could be three big reasons for this. The first one would be that Brent hasn't got anything to hold on to. If he had a line coming from the back, like the Traveller control line, that would give him something to hold on to, or a chicken line. Second thing that would help would be some sort of traction, like some shoes or some grip on the side of the boat. That's going to make things much easier. The third thing that could help is a boat setup thing, and that would actually be to put more mast rake on the boat, which will bring the mast further back, which means that where the trapeze line is anchored to will actually be directly above where you're naturally going to trapeze, rather than from further forwards, so that will eliminate a lot of that pull. But with it set up the way that it is, all it took was a slight variation in the pitch of the boat, and that was enough. Yeah, so we're back on board at the Rockport Reservoir with Zach and the original party boy, Austin. Now, Zach's using the very slick standing up method of coming in off the trapeze. Big fan of that myself. And, yeah, Zach ended up in the water. Yeah. And, yeah, Austin's laughing pretty hard at that one. And you can see why. But it's things like this that make cat sailing so fun. A lot of these mishaps are actually what makes it as fun as it is when it's in a safe and controlled environment. But let's have a look and see what actually happened. So here we can see Zach's using the trapeze for a bit of stability. But let's go for trapeze to grab the main sheet at the same time, committing outboard and nothing to hold on to apart from the stick, which means he's bearing away. The inertia there sends him flying overboard, and there it is, the big splash. Zach making the wise choice just to let go of everything. And fortunately, Austin recovered pretty quickly to go into a very well executed man overboard recovery. You can see throughout here, Austin keeps glancing back to see where Zach is on the water. A nice tack. As soon as the jib backs, that's it, the tack is done. No need to bring the jib across because we're not looking to sail fast here. We're just looking to get back to that guy in the water. And there it is. I'd say absolutely great job to Austin there for that pickup. And well done to Zach for that stylish dismount.
I thought you were dragging through water.